Welcome to the Christie Taylor Show. I'm your host, Christie Taylor, and you are inside the Taylor Tilton Hour. Now, one thing I love about doing radio and television is interviewing interesting people. And today's guest, yes, I'm super excited about getting to know her. And let me tell you, she is an amazing woman that I am looking to learn more about. We're talking about Angela Y. Ervin. She's the founder of the Six-Figure Entrepreneurial Lab for Female CEOs, a unique workshop, podcast, and curriculum that was established to assist other like-minded entrepreneurs to expand their personal brands. For over 25 years, she has been empowering and transforming the lives of men and women entrepreneurs across the country as the president and CEO of Enterprise and Investments LLC and many other ventures. Now, she has owned and operated several six-figure businesses. Some of those businesses have been a children's learning center, a janitorial company, a construction company, and currently the Evolve, a skincare brand. Now, her latest project launch from Evolve is YV Naturals, a luxury skincare line for men and women looking to take care of their skin without unnecessary chemicals, offering products that are vegan, made with organic ingredients, cruelty-free, gluten-free, paraben-free, and fragrance-free. YV Naturals is a earth-conscious skincare line with real ingredients and real visible results. Help me welcome Miss Ervin to the Christie Taylor Show. Hi. Oh my goodness. Let me make sure. Microphone check 1 2 1 2. Good to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for inviting me here.
I'm excited to have you and just learning things about you, doing a little background search. I was like, oh my God, I need her as a mentor. I have entered into these entrepreneurial streets. And let me tell you, based upon your history and what you're still doing, even in transformational leadership and training, you're definitely a woman that we need to know. But let's take it back to the beginning. Who is Angela at the beginning? Where are you from? And how did you start on this path?
Absolutely. I am the mother of 3 beautiful children. Well, first, let me tell you where I'm from. I'm originally born in Alabama, and later my mom moved to Wisconsin. And so I grew up in Wisconsin for the majority of my life, from adolescent all the way up until a few years after I got married. And then my former husband and I, we moved to Alabama. And from there in Alabama, we divorced, and I began to learn of myself and decided that I was going to, after studying myself and learning about me, because I believe the knowledge of self is the greatest knowledge that we can ever obtain. And so after I learned of me and just the things that make me do what I'm supposed to do here, things that make me tick, as people say, or when I began to discover my purpose, that's when I started to launch out in some new ventures in life. And so that's what led me to do some of the things. I'm just going to end it there, but that's what led me to do some things that I have been able to do. First, it became just me knowing myself, first of all. And from me knowing myself, discovering my purpose, why I'm here, or the reason why I'm patent, because I like to use that word, why I'm patent, because everything has a patent. The manufacturer put a patent on everything, and it says that it's supposed to be used for this particular reason. And so I'm here for a reason, and I had to discover that. And I believe that everything that I've gone through, as far as the divorce, me being unhoused, because I was experienced being unhoused 2 times. And so all of that was to help me to grow, to strengthen who I am, and to help me to evolve and to transform my life from the inside out. And that's what I did. I transformed my entire life as a result of one thing that people can say, oh, it was just such a bad divorce. It was so hard. But that divorce is what helped me. It was the catalyst that helped me to evolve into the woman that I'm currently am and doing the things that I'm currently doing. So little young girl from Alabama, little redhead girl from the dirt roads of Alabama.
I can relate. I can relate to so much of your story in many, many ways. Now, I haven't been married, and nor am I a mother, but I can understand the need for evolution. and where there has been setbacks, trauma, and having to learn how to not only overcome them, but evolve and thrive beyond that. So it's a couple of things that you said that really resonated with me. And that was about patent. I understand in addition to all your entrepreneurial ventures, you are into transformational leadership and training. Can we kind of talk about that? And then we'll get into some of your business ventures. So what does out of your own life, yes, you learned some amazing things, but what made you decide to start teaching and training that?
Wow. Well, that's an excellent question. I've been teaching and training women as well as men, but mostly women. I don't like to use the word train, like equip. I believe in empowering and equipping women. And I've been doing that for well over 25 years. And it started from when I was in church, growing up in church and then becoming a leader inside of the church. And that's how I developed the skill and the knowledge, and going through some other programs that helped me to develop the leadership skills that I have developed. And then from there, based off of my own experiences, I really truly took some time after my divorce to really just, I really began to break me down into segments. There's a little girl, Angela, there's the adolescent Angela, and then you have the adult Angela. And each one of those components, the parts of me, really has evolved from that little girl. And a lot of things that we've experienced, for as myself, when I experienced in life, it is as a result of what happened to me as a child.
Right.
And most of us, we're really running off a program from the ages of 1 through 7. And so we're running off of that program, and we have to know how to rewrite the program. So my divorce, going through that experience and being unhoused, and I had my children with me, and them having to look at me, as being their dependent, upon their livelihood. I had no other choice but to sit and discover who I was. And from there, I started doing a business called, which is a nonprofit business called Evolve, Girl Evolve, which means that I help women to evolve into the woman that they've always wanted to be. And a lot of times we get stuck, in circumstances and situations. And it's like we have gotten to a place where we can't move any further. And we need someone to come alongside of us to help us push past, the hurt, the trauma, the old emotional wounds. And that's what I did. I did that for myself. I pushed past my old emotional wounds. I first identified them, because the wound didn't start with my ex-husband. It started when I was a child. And so I had to identify the origin of the wound. And when you identify the origin, you also can pinpoint, where the problem existed, who it originated from. And not that we're playing blame game, because I don't believe in, pointing fingers and playing the blame game on anyone. I believe in taking accountability. Yes, I'm not responsible for the things that happened to me as a child, but I am responsible for how I deal with those things as an adult. And so I went back to my childhood, and I began to discover the problem where the trauma began.
Right.
And as a child, you can suffer even as an adult, leading up into your adult years, with PTSD.
Yes.
And it's trauma that you've endured as a child. And so I had to deal with that old trauma. I had to rewrite the program of that old trauma. And from there, I started teaching other women, because I saw the transformation in my own life, and people have begun to say, you are a total different person. It's like you have reinvented yourself. What they see now in me and that I've done, people have been inboxing me and saying, I know, what is this? I want it, and when I look at you and I look at your life from where you came from and where you are now, it's like night and day. And that's because I did the work. And so I started creating my own curriculum, which I was able to launch inside of the schools in Wisconsin, where I lived at for some time. I was able to go inside of the school systems to get the young girls while they were young and while they're very impressionable, and to instill in them personal development, personal awareness, and just to really build them as young women who are transitioning into young ladies who are transitioning into womanhood, because most of them were in 9th grade and high schoolers. So it was my objective to get them at that age, so that as they're transitioning to adulthood and going on to college, that they would be well prepared and well equipped, and have the confidence that they would need in order to be successful adults in society. I believe in what I would teach them, that one of the greatest things that you can tell if a parent has done their job very well is if that child has a high self-esteem.
Yeah.
And so I began to
Wow.
work with those, and even adults. So I put a conference together that was called Evolve, and it was a very, very successful conference.
I mean, just from what you're sharing, Angela, I'm feeling empowered just from your storyline, and a couple of things as a woman of faith, you and I, and this is kind of a touchy subject. Oftentimes within the faith community, we feel like our spiritual experience should be enough. But
Mm,
one of the things I'm hearing and I'm loving, and that's really touching my soul, is that beyond our spiritual awakening, that
mhm,
there is some internal work and there are some conditionings that we still have to undo, that I believe God by his design allows us to come up with these other creative ways like you did with Evolve. What
absolutely.
are your thoughts, and how have you been able to really pinpoint that within the faith community when you kind of come up against that wall, like, salvation was enough?
Hmm. Well, I don't believe in the concept that salvation is enough. I do believe it's okay to seek therapy or some counselor for whatever it is that you're going through. I believe it's okay to do that. If you want to couple that with your faith, I see nothing wrong with doing that. Um, for people that, if I come up against someone that says, "Well, what you're doing is not of God, and God is not pleased," um, I just actually just show them the social proof, or show them the results of what people have experienced that have gone through my program and my teaching. Um, just knowing that,
Mm-hmm.
I believe that everything that we have in the earth that's accessible to
Yes.
us, God created for our good.
Yes.
Everything that we're supposed to be using, the counselor, the therapist, the
Yes.
teaching that I do, I believe that it all works together with the faith that you have
Yes.
in God to do
Yeah.
bigger and better things. I hope I answered your question. I know you
You've
asked.
answered it very well, and
Okay.
I'll say that there is a verse of scripture. I'm getting more inspired today than normal, but there is a verse of scripture in the New Testament that says, "With the same comfort, console and comfort others." And
Mm,
I believe when we create transformational programming and curriculum out of our life experiences, I myself has had something similar, not like yours, but I'm saying like there were some things that I in my 20s trying to
mm,
find my way, and I just started sharing with other people, like, "Hey, y'all, this is what I figured out." And it was God inspired. It was something that he used to get me on track when I had left my, personal path. And like you said, in my pursuit of purpose, as a little girl, I was very, very focused. But when I got in my early 20s, I just a lot of adult peer pressure, even within the church circle, because it's like a lot of my friends were singers. And while my life wasn't on that path because I had the gift of singing, I was like, well, maybe I should sing too. And sure enough, that wasn't that wasn't God's plan for my life. Media was my plan, his
yeah.
plan. And I had to eventually make that course correction, and I'm grateful for when we open ourselves up to his greater wisdom, and we can then selflessly share that with other people. One of the things also that's very attractive about what you're saying is that I know that even over the last 25 years, you have not only gone through transformational leadership training or empowerment programming, that you begin to expand beyond the transformation into business. How did you make that segue to become a serial successful entrepreneur? Six figures
Yes.
businesses.
Yes. Well, I started at the age of 16, believe it or not. I started babysitting. And so from there, I decided to go on to study how to open up a childcare center. And I did that at the age of 18 and 19. And then as I began to progress in that, I just kept going till I received my director's license in childcare. And I think it took me several years in order to obtain that, but nevertheless, that's how it all began. Just that one babysitting job, and I went
Mhm.
on and do the daycare, and then from there, I did the janitorial company, and then we did a construction company where we housed we got ex-offenders or those that were not otherwise employable,
Right.
and we brought them in the classroom and gave them knowledge about, light masonry and carpentry work. And then we took them out in the field so that they can implement what they had acquired inside of the classroom setting. And so from there, I just began to just continue to educate myself and to learn about business. I went to a business school in high school, and then I went to other businesses, colleges. And so I just continued to go and educate myself about business and to learn what this thing was. But if I can go back to even when I was a little girl, I used to play business when I was a little girl.
Oh, did you?
Yep, I remember doing that. I remember having a little briefcase. It was all pretend and make believe. But see, that's the thing. We have to go back to trace, what do we first get an idea or a concept about, excuse me, what we desire to do? You already have that as a child. You were born with that. And so when people like want to question, whether or not this is authentic, you're born with your gifts already. Yes. God gave you what you have. You came here with it. You didn't come here lacking anything. Everything that you need that pertains, if I can use this to life and godliness, the scripture says that you have it. And then if we can go further within that, the Bible tells us that God created everything. Everything that we see in existence, it was created by our Heavenly Father. That was nothing that we cannot put our eyes on, that He does not have His DNA and His nature on the inside of it. And He lives within me, He lives within you, and He lives within every person. I think people are not aware of that. And so from that place, I just began to just really focus on me. As you said so very well, when you were a young girl, you were very focused. I didn't get my focus, I think, after I became in my late 20s, early 30s, and so on. And then even after my divorce, that's when I really became focused on my purpose. Purpose is the reason why something is in existence. And when you don't understand the purpose of a thing, abuse is inevitable. You're going to abuse it. You have to know why you're here. Otherwise, you will allow people to abuse you. And that's the same thing when a person tells you what you're doing is not of God. That could be abusive to me, because I know my purpose. And when I know and understand it, then your opinion and someone else's thoughts about what they feel like should and should not be doing should not sway you otherwise, because you're confident in the one that has, created you and given you this gift. And so, I've always done entrepreneurship. I've always seen myself as a business person, but I've always wanted to be a singer. That is my passion. Yep, that is my passion.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
That is so funny. That is so funny. First of all, when you started sharing some of those quotes, I thought about Dr. Miles Monroe, and so much of the literature and his philosophies, that he started even the early 80s was along that line. And then, of course, when they came out with the purpose-driven life phenomena, the importance of being driven and led and guided by your purpose. And something you said, patent, break down patent. And I want to get back to your singing career in a minute, but patent, you said everybody has a patent, like a trademark. Can you explain that to me?
Well, if you look at, say, like your pillow or your clothes, there's a tag that's on there, and the tag has this item is patent, trademark by the manufacturer, and the tag should not be removed unless it's by the manufacturer. So in other words, I believe all of us have been given, and whatever it is, if it's a refrigerator, a pillow, this shirt, it has a use, and it's intended for use. It's intended for purpose. The word patent, I use it interchangeably with the word purpose. Purpose is the reason why something is in existence, and it has an intended use. I have a patent that was given to me by the Creator. It's in my DNA. Yeah, I do have, and I said, that's the Alabama part of me. I have my biological parents, but my DNA, the spiritual part of who I am, that's really who I am. I am patent from the Creator. When the scripture tells us that we're born from above, that means that nothing that you can relate to here that can really say that you got that particular person's, that thing DNA, because you have the bornness, the spiritual part of your makeup is from above. And so the word patent for me really is just the intended use, or you understanding your purpose. You understand why you're here. And when you understand why you're here, like what you said, you remain focused. I'm focused on what I'm supposed to be doing because I understand my pattern. I know why I'm in existence.
And Angela, as you're talking, I'm thinking, in full disclosure, in my 20s, that was for about a couple of years, I veered off, but it was because I had an awareness that no, this ain't me. This ain't me. Don't it doesn't feel right for me, even though it was music and I love music. That was my first love. Broadway was really my ambition, going back to you wanting to be a singer. On Broadway, that was the thing. But
Yeah.
even when I moved into media, I was like, oh, I can perform in this space. I can still have music and engage and, even live, emceeing programs. That gave me a lot of what I was hungry for. Years later, I would go get my theater degree and I use it in other ways. But I like how you're saying purpose and pattern are interchangeable. And there's another P word that I want to introduce. When we have purpose, and I'm noting through your life, it also can lead to prosperity. So let's talk about these six-figure businesses, how you get to that, because sometimes you can be spiritual minded and feel like, oh, I mean, because I struggle with that based on some religious upbringing about money and prosperity and amassing wealth. How did you push through that, being a girl from the South as well, where sometimes poverty was the norm?
Absolutely. Well, we have to understand that prosperity as well as poverty are both mindsets.
Ooh.
So you can have two people in the same household, two brothers, two sisters growing up in the same household. One brother can go on and do things and he become very successful. Then you can have the other brother or sister, they go on and they do the opposite, especially if the parent is an alcoholic or on drugs or whatever, and they can take after that parent. One had the mindset of being successful and being prosperous. The other one did not. So everything in the world is a mindset. Everything comes from the subconscious programming. It comes from the part of us that we cannot see, and we're all running off of a subconscious program. The part of us that we cannot look at. Sub means below, and consciousness means awareness. So we're not really aware of the program until we see that money keeps eluding us and it's not coming to us, because we attract what we are. If you are money, money is an energy, it's a currency. Everything in the world vibrates at a certain frequency. So money vibrates at that frequency as well. And you can, if you go back, if we can relate something that everybody can relate to, Adam. When Adam started creating and he started naming and he started calling things into existence, it wasn't because someone told him this should be a cow, this should be an oak tree, you need to name this coin or this jewel Jasper or Sapphire. Adam had that already on the inside of himself, and he was able to pull that out of him. So he had the subconsciously the program in order to name what should be that particular thing, and it is that thing as of today. So the mindset of prosperity really takes you shifting your mindset from thinking that you are poor and understanding that you are the author and the creator. You are the one that's doing the work. You are the one who's driving, because you have to be accountable. Yet God is the source, because that's what he says. I am the source of all things. He is the creator of all things, but we are co-creators. So we're the ones who's creating the reality that we are seeing. And it comes from what we think about ourselves every day. If you think that you're going to fail, if you think you're going to, not be successful, if you think that you're going to always be poor, life is always going to be hard for me, then that's what it's going to be. And I often tell people all the time, and I say this, and when I say all the time, even to my children, if you don't want to see it in your today, don't speak it yesterday. If you don't want to see it tomorrow, don't speak it today, because your thoughts create things. The things come from what we're thinking. Money, again, is an energy. And when you vibrate at the frequency that money vibrates at, you can think about money and it appears. I'm going to give you an example, such as when you think about your friend or someone you haven't seen in a long time, all of a sudden it's like, why am I thinking about that person? You just get these thoughts about them. And then all of a sudden you get a phone call, that person call you. Or you call the individual and they say, I was just thinking about you. That's energy. And we are spirit beings. We're interconnected spiritually. And that's the same way it is with money. You have to vibrate on that frequency of money in order for money to come in, like a river, where you don't have to work for it. Because I don't believe that the money that you work for that's not true money. The money that you don't have to work for, that's the money that we are supposed to have, where your money is working for you and you're not working for it. You're not chasing the dollar, but the dollar comes to you because you vibrate at that frequency of wealth. Wealth is resources, it's information, it's knowledge, it's time, it's energy. It consists of a gamut of different things. But to have the energy and to vibrate at the level of prosperity and to have that where it comes to you without you having to work hard for it, that's what we all need to do. And going back to even when we were in church, how we would play, say, God is going to bless me, money coming to me, all these different rantics. And none of that stuff really, you never really seen a lot, manifest from that. But it wasn't until, for me, I'm going to speak for me because I can't really speak for anyone else, but for me, until I began to change my mindset about me. And that's what I had to do. I had to begin to say, I am prosperity. I am wealthy. I am rich. Riches, money, favor, all of those things are attracted to me. All of those things want me just as much as I want it. Those things are looking for me. They're chasing me down. They desire to be in my presence. Money wants to be exchanged from one hand to the other hand. But if we're not ones that give, then money is not going to come to you. And so money is an energy. Prosperity is an energy. Poverty is an energy, and it's all a mindset. And when you change your mindset, you change your entire life. When you change your mindset, you change your entire reality. Everything around you changes. Your environment, what you're looking at right now, is based off what you think. Your mind has created what you're thinking, what you're seeing in your reality.
Wow, Angela, you are speaking some powerful things, and it's resonating on some of the deepest levels of my being. And for those who are watching this show, the Christie Taylor Show, here inside the Taylor Tilton Hour, the full episode will be available on YouTube. So be sure to check that out. Go to YouTube, search for the Christie Taylor Show so that you can watch this show in its entirety. At this time, we're going to take a moment to just pause.
Is your girlfriend nowhere here?
Yeah, she.
The system had one intention, to put us in prison. It's just that simple.
All right, you're watching the Christie Taylor Show, and I have a very special guest, Miss Angela Y. Ervin, and she has just been blessing our soul with some transformational wisdom. And I can see how, as you say, you have totally evolved and how that's been present in your training and your curriculum and your empowerment messages. And it just oozes out of you. And I'm really grateful that you're sharing this wisdom with us here today. I know also when it came to purpose, pattern, prosperity mindset, and I thank you that you even show that poverty and prosperity is a mindset. It's the way your mind is set. And how did you begin to, was it through affirmation, or was it part of when you say you took yourself apart, because you say your child self, your adolescent self, and your adult self? Is it within that, in that time, that you begin to just change the building blocks of the words that you begin to speak?
Yes, absolutely. It was during that time, the time I went through the divorce, because I began to realize, like, why am I in the state that I'm in? Why am I facing being unhoused? And again, we can point the blame on this person and that person, but really you have to look at what's happening within you. You have to go within. And like a chiropractor, when you go see them, they make some adjustments. They realign you. They put you back into the right alignment. So I had to put myself back into right alignment with the higher self. And I knew that I was out of balance. I was not vibrating at my highest level, because poverty should not have been, named among me. It should not have been something that I experienced, but I did. And I believe that I did experience it so that I can know how to conquer it and then teach other people how to conquer that same thing. So, just knowing that those things are our mindsets, and that you can overcome. I like to tell people this: you are not a tree.
Hmm.
You can pick yourself up. You can rearrange your life at any moment. You don't have to be stuck. And for me being stuck in poverty and struggling because money was eluding me, it's almost like I had holes in my pocket. I couldn't keep money.
Yeah.
It's just like it just went, it just eluded. Like the facts that it came, seemed like it just left just as quick.
Mm-hmm.
And until I began to understand, poverty, what's embedded on the inside of me. And poverty can look like a lot
I
of
was
things.
about to say, I wanted you to break that down. I'm so glad you're segueing, because poverty is not just the absence of money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's absence of peace. It's absence of love. It's absence of joy. It's absence of things that money cannot buy. That's what poverty is. Money cannot buy you peace. It was a famous guy. I can't think of his name, but he stated that he wished that everybody had $1 million so they can see that money, having $1 million, doesn't bring you peace, doesn't bring you happiness, because after that, you're still going to be, desire something else. So wealth, prosperity, all those mindsets, all of it, it should have peace that accompany it. You can have the money, but still be mentally
impoverished. Mentally impoverished. Oh my, this is how much do you how much do you commit to teaching this abroad? I mean, do you have a course, a class? Tell me about that, because someone I know, if they're being moved like I am, they're like, how can I reach out to her and be a part of this amazingness?
Yes, I do. I'm in the process of repackaging my course right now, and it should be finished within the next week or so. But I have created a course that teaches about how to be a woman, because I believe that we're in the finest hour of the woman. And we're seeing women come from obscurity, from places of deep, deep, dark pain and hurt, to be valued and appreciated. We were once undervalued, once underappreciated, and once underpaid. And women are stepping out now, and we're becoming business owners and entrepreneurs like never before. I don't know if you ever noticed it during the pandemic. I mean, people are just launching businesses, left and right. And I started doing that business school, I think it was in 2016, 17. That's when I first started doing it. And so since then I've had to repackage some things, because I do things in excellence and I want it to look a certain way. And but people can reach out, to you, or either through me, through my email address. And I can give that to you whenever you're ready.
I will make that available for those in the caption of this interview. They can see that within the caption of the interview. So I want you to make sure that you all reach out to her. And for those who are in business, and I'm one of those people who launched in 2019, right before the pandemic. I was segueing out of traditional radio so that I can move more into coaching and consulting. And definitely the pandemic has forced me to find new ways to do what I was going to do. And that's why I said the mentorship that is required to really push myself forward, mindset first, because I am learning, in full disclosure, that there have been some limiting mindsets, even though I'm a very, let's make things happen. However, there's like, oh, wow, why am I, and I've always said money is my friend, we hang out together, but the amount of money scaling the business, to a place where it was self-sustaining. And I know you can speak to this when you're dealing with and you're mentoring and teaching other business owners, that we can come to a point where we max out on our ability to earn, and the ability to scale to the next level requires a different mindset and a different method and mode. So those are things that I'm really learning. And of course, you have done multiple businesses. You have evolved. And eventually you created a company beyond your program in a nonprofit that's called Evolve. Let's talk about that.
The Evolve Posh Brand is a luxury brand of products. Right now, we just released our skincare, which is called Yave Naturals. And then we will be launching really soon home goods and, candles and things that women like, to decorate, because I'm into interior decorating. Yave started as a result of me taking the initials of 3 of my children. I have 3 children, and my initial. And that's how I came about with the name Yave. And mind you, I've had the name Yave I think since 2011, I believe it was. And it just came to me one day. I had a dream, and in that dream, I got the interpretation about what that dream meant. And I was like, yeah, and I heard, you already have this name. You already have it already. And so I began to sit back and remember, and it's like, oh, wait a minute. And I came across some old note papers that I had, and I saw the name down there at the bottom of the note paper, Yahweh Skincare. I was like, oh my
A
God.
decade. It had been marinating.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, I shared it with a good friend of mine not long ago, and I sent her the email that I had, the note that I had wrote that
Yes.
back then, and she was like, "Wow, that's totally amazing." So
Yeah.
yeah, a long time ago, and that's why I tell people, don't give up on your dreams.
Yeah.
Even if it feels like it's taking forever, don't give up on your dreams. Before I started doing the things that I'm doing, it seemed like it would never happen for me. It seemed like things were just slowly just moving like the tortoise, and everybody was bypassing me. But you have to stay focused. You have to know your purpose. You have to get all of the stuff that's blocking you from progressing. The reason why we hit stumbling blocks or roadblocks, that's because simply what it is. There is a roadblock somewhere within your vision, and I'm not just talking about your four eyes, but within you, within your internal um, trajectory, your internal roadmap. We all have a global positioning system or GPS system that guides us, our internal compass that guides us. And whatever that is that's blocking you from seeing, your lens may be smeared, you have to remove blockages from your eyes so that you can move and progress forward. So just stay focused and keep doing what you know you're supposed to be doing.
Wow. And for those who would want to know more about, number one, in learning more about you and this particular business venture, you made a strong effort to make sure that it had real ingredients with real results. What led you to that path? Of course, a lot of people have entered into skincare and other forms of luxury brands. How did you come to that specifically, and particularly about the level of luxury it is?
Well, I came about because I am a licensed esthetician.
Oh,
hmm And so I
wow.
study skin as well as a licensed cosmetologist as well. So, and actually, we're called master cosmetologists when you have all three, because I have the barbering as well. And so, going to school to learn about esthetician, I became very knowledgeable about some key ingredients that help with the skin. And having my own skin issues from childhood, teenager, and even some parts of my adulthood, I suffered with dark spots from early childhood acne and even some adult acne. And after you've tried everything over the counter, such as Accutane and a lot of the different things that they give you,
Mhm.
that they have on the market, and then your doctor gives you things that does not work, and a lot of stuff is very
Right.
harmful. I
Mhm.
decided that, look, we have to find something that's all natural, plant-based, that can heal the skin and without causing further damage. And that's where I began to do my research based off the knowledge that I had already obtained going to school. And I found out what plant-based ingredients worked.
Mhm.
Before we had the synthetic, we had the natural. And
Yeah.
we, my endeavor is to bring us back to our root.
Yes.
So, to get to the cause of the problem versus
Right.
treating a symptom. What is the cause of this problem? And therefore, I began to find out what ingredients work for the skin, people of our, color, what works for us, and
Right.
put those ingredients together. And I started using it myself first
Oh,
before I applied it. Yeah, before I went to other people, before I start marketing it to others to use, I started using it myself. And then once I saw the results that I achieved from my own use, I started introducing it to my children and then other people from there. And then people were saying, you need to really do something else with this. So an opportunity had presented itself for me to put products on Walmart.com. And I
wow.
was able to do that. And did that last year. But I've
Right.
since, trying to shift some things around to keep the money, circulating within my own organization. But my products are on Walmart.com and been featured in a few magazines as well for my products.
Well, I just want them to see this amazing product and the packaging, which I absolutely love.
Thank you so much.
the evolveposhbrand.com is the site you can go to. And I totally love, the name and the very fact that it has that sense of, real ingredients. And even as we age, and Black skin particularly,
Mhm.
there are certain things that we need.
Absolutely.
And I'm really appreciative that you have stepped into this, because it seems like everything, you have the Midas touch. You have the Midas touch. And I like the fact that you were your own guinea pig. Some people that just put a product out, slap a name on it, and like just put it to market. But the very fact that it was a very organic launch,
Absolutely.
it's really impressive. I'm going to be checking it out. I'm going to be definitely checking it out. So, what is your advice to women and men
Mhm.
who are interested in launching into any business? Because you've had different industries you've been involved in. What's the number one thing you tell them all?
Get a coach, because every coach should have a coach. Every great leader has come from a great leader. And you'll never be a great leader without having someone else that has conquered the giants that you're trying to conquer. They can show you the path that will help you get there a lot quicker and a lot less struggle. It won't be as hard. So find a coach. That would be the number one thing that I would recommend for you to do. And then really find out what it is that you really want to do. What is your niche? Once you niche down, because they say the riches are in the niches, or that's what I teach. The riches are in the niches. Niche down, find out what you really want to do. And if there's a market, are you really passionate about that? Is the market the market in demand for that product? And once you find that out, your niche, you're passionate about it,
Mhm.
study it out for a number of years. Because I believe that if you study your craft out for at least a year, you can be at the top of your game in that industry. But you must study it out. It's almost like dissecting it. You have to
Yes.
dissect it, find out everything about that product or that business, that brand, before you step out there. Because I'm a strong believer that if you don't use your own stuff, if you don't know what you're talking about, then people are not going to support you. That's why I use my own products. I would not promote anything that I don't use, because
Mhm.
I have no reference point for it. I can't say yes, this is good if I've never experienced it. So start using your own products. That would be, another thing that I would recommend. And yeah, just get in a coach, your niche, make sure the market is right for it, and use your own product and do your research. You have to do
Mhm.
your research.
Wow, Angela, you were giving some old school business advice. We're in the age of influencers. We're in the age of everybody, utilizing social media platforms to turn a business over in 60 days. But what you just basically gave us was what people learn in MBA programs. So I appreciate you sharing this sage wisdom. And I'm soaking it up. I'm soaking it up. I hope you all have been enjoying this amazing interview with this very successful businesswoman, Angela Y. Ervin. I want you to be sure to check out her new product launch. Go to, and I'll put it right back up again. Go to the evolveposhbrand.com. That's Evolve, the evolveposhbrand.com. And her new product, which is a amazing product, natural ingredients, real results. I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being so generous and allowing us to learn about you, your journey, your wisdom, and your amazing business venture as well. All
Okay.
right. Well, thank you all so much for checking out the Christie Taylor Show. And be sure to join us next week here inside the Taylor Tilton Hour.